check out these beauties. Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Treasure Books. Today we are making ribbon bookmarks. These are all of the ones that I've made, and I'll show them all to you in detail a little bit later. First I'm going to show you how to make them, but in case you're wondering how to use them, I'll show you. Alright, here's my journal, and can I just say that if you haven't made these before, they're so quick and easy, and they add such a beautiful extra touch to your journal. Just want to see which one goes well with this journal. Maybe I'll go with this beauty. And basically you have it in your journal. Let's say I'll put it here. And it adds such a beautiful extra touch to your handmade journals. You can have it sort of hanging down like this a little bit, or you know, if you make it a bit longer, you can have it hanging down a bit longer. So you can really get creative with this type of stuff. It's kind of hard to show its magnificence in this video because it's not really coming across, but it's such a beautiful thing to have in a journal. And basically it's a bookmark, so you would use it like a bookmark. So you know where you're kind of left off, you do your writing, whatever, you're up to here, you put your bookmark in there. It's a bit of bling, a bit of book jewelry, and also functional in a journal. I've also been making some Christmas journals, so I made these ones here, and then again the same thing. There we go. I just love it so much, and especially because it's such a quick craft that you can make in front of the TV. And you can make a whole heap like I did here, and you have them ready to go. Okay, so here are some of the things that you might want to look for in your stash. Some ribbon. You can use trims like this. Look at this beautiful one. And this one here. You can use some lace as long as it's symmetrical. So for example, you wouldn't want to use something like this. It just looks better when it's symmetrical on both sides, but you can use it. It just is nicer if it's the same on both sides. And then I also have some of this sequin ribbon, which is really pretty, and I use this red one for my Christmas journals. Then of course you want some bling that you can put onto the bookmarks. So all of this pretty much came from broken jewelry that I've just taken these bits off, so they're already ready-made. So I don't have to spend much time, you know, making little danglies. Depending on what you're planning to put on the ends, you might need some of these flat end pins, like this one, see, flat end, and then this one is called an eye pin. So I didn't make these, they came off of some broken jewelry, but you can see that this one was made using the flat head pin. But it's not necessary because you can see from the ones that I've made. This one here, I have used the flat end head pin to create this little dangly down here. But then I also use things like this. So you can just use jump rings, right? I've used some charms, and this is actually from some old earrings. So the pins are definitely not a necessity. You will need some jump rings like this. But most importantly, you will need these ribbon crimp ends, or they're called ribbon clamps or ribbon clasps. They come in all different sizes and colors. You can see I have some wider ones, I have some narrower ones, and all different colors. I got mine off eBay. They were very, very cheap. The best thing to do is to match the size of your clasp to whatever you're using, but again, it's not an absolute must. You can see here I used a wide trim and a really narrow little ribbon clamp, so you know, and it still looks quite nice. See, so it's not necessary. I didn't want to go out and buy big ones just so I can use it on this trim. I just used what I have. All right, as a side note, if by any chance you don't have any of these and you don't want to go and purchase any, you can simply make your ribbon bookmarks. They're probably not called ribbon bookmarks anymore because they're not on ribbon, but you can make something like this. So you just bead the ends of some type of a string, and there you have a bookmark that you can place in your journal. But stick around, because before you start making your bookmarks, you first need to determine the size that you need for your journal, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Alright, so I've decided to do 3 different bookmarks for this video today, and I'm going to use these materials here. So the first thing, like I said, that we need to do is check how large our bookmark has to be. You most definitely, of course, can make these in advance and just wing it. But let's say I want to make a bookmark for this journal. This one already has its own bookmark, so I'm probably just going to leave this in there. But let's say I'm making a bookmark for this journal. And I'm going to use this sequin ribbon. So now what I'm going to do is approximately determine the size that I want, and I'm going to leave myself some extra wiggle room. And I don't know how well you can see this, but I trimmed maybe an extra inch on each side. And for this black one, I'm going to use these beads and these crimp ends. So it's really quite simple. You may just want to pop this on right to the end of your ribbon, or what I like to do is fold it down a little bit. It's hard to see on this black one, but I just made a little fold, and because it's got sequin, this one's sticking up, so I'm just going to trim that little sequin down. And you might want to have some tools ready as well. Some pliers will do. You don't need any of the fancy stuff. But here we go. It's really quite simple. I'm sure you know what I'm about to do here. But I'm just putting that clamp right on the end of my folded ribbon. And I'm just going to give it a little squeeze. Make sure that it's straight on there. And then really squeeze it shut with my pliers. And there we go, that's on. And then what I do, because I folded it down, I have this bit sticking up. I don't really like it, you know. Obviously it doesn't look good, so I'm just going to trim as much as I can off. And here we go, one side is done. So you absolutely don't have to fold it and then fiddle with cutting the bits off, but I just like to, you know, just for that extra bit of security in there. I guess it makes it a little bit safer, more secure, I guess. Okay, now I'm simply going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. There we go, both sides done, and now I'm going to add the beads. So I'm going to use my gold jump rings just because I have them, but you know, I like to match gold with gold, but you know, I like to use what I have. And for example, in this case, this is gold, the bead has gold on it, but then I use the silver ribbon clasp because I don't have any gold ones. I just use what I have. I didn't go out and buy gold clasps. And I'm going to use this gold jump ring to attach my beads to the ribbon end clasp, and I'm just going to open. And just a note here, when you're opening your jump rings, you probably already know this, but you don't open them this way, you open them this way, and then it's much easier to close them and have them still, you know, hold their shape. So here's my jump ring, here are my beads, and here is my ribbon end clasp. I put it all together and close this jump ring. One side is done. Now I'm just going to do exactly the same on the other side. And you know, you can get really creative here. You can have two different sides, you know, they don't have to be exact same beads on both sides. So you can really play around with what you have. And here we go, a ribbon bookmark complete. Here's my journal. You can have it maybe at the front or wherever. And I know it's hard to see, but there's a little bit of junk journal bling. It's kind of peeking out up there, up the top. You can see. You can have these longer. You can have them, you don't want to have them too short, obviously, but you know, they can be definitely longer. I like them to be perfect size, perfect fit. And it's even fine when it's sitting up on the shelf, you know, because that kind of moves away and sits like that. Perfect. So now I'm going to do this one, and I don't have a journal ready to go for this, but it doesn't matter. I can just swing the size. I can just use this journal. I'm just going to follow this one here. I don't generally make journals larger than this size, so like I said, it will be fine even in a smaller journal. But having said that, let's look at this Christmas journal that I made. I made these ones a little bit smaller to fit my smaller journal, and once again, you can see it's kind of perfect size. I just want to see what a larger bookmark would look like in a smaller journal. So let's say I'm going to use this one. I mean, it's still, you know, it still works okay. I guess it doesn't really matter, but it's probably a bit too large, but I guess as long as it's not too small, then it's okay. So I'm going to do this pink one next, and I'm probably just going to follow the black one that I did. So I cut it longer because I'm going to be folding over. And this is why I like to fold over, because this happens and then, you know, things can start looking messy and sticking out. Pop this on. This is the fiddly part because you want it straight and you want it centered, or as centered as you can get it. One side done. Both sides done, and now I'm just trimming off this excess, and that's how the back looks like. So let's see if this starts coming apart a little bit. it kind of stops as soon as it reaches that crimp end, and then I can just trim that off. Whereas if I didn't fold it over, it might start unraveling on the sides here, and then it would look really messy. There we go. Broken jewelry is the best. And here we go. One side done, and here we go. Done. Let's see how it compares to the black one. It's a little bit bigger. Oh well, it will do. This is another journal I have. I'm just going to pop it in anywhere. Absolutely perfect. Just picking out a little bit there, a little bit up the top. All right, and now I'm going to use this white ribbon, fold it over, and this is actually perfect size. And now I'm just going to trim this bit off. There we go, and you can't even see that it was folded over. All right, and I actually did that before I actually trimmed it, so I'm going to trim the other end now, maybe somewhere there. So these ones came off of some broken jewelry again, and I'm just gonna, instead of adding an extra jump ring, I'm just gonna open that up, and I'm gonna pop that opened end to the back side, and the back side is, you can't even see, but that's where the ribbon has been cut off. So, and here we go. They're so quick and easy to make. The hardest part is actually choosing the beads and stuff that you're going to put at the end. That's why broken jewelry that's already been kind of matched and assembled is perfect to use for this, because it's quick. You don't have to spend time thinking about which beads go together and all that sort of stuff. I've also used this really wide, beautiful lace over here. So that would look really pretty in a shabby chic journal. And to add these beads on, I used flat end head pins. So basically with the flat end head pins, anything you put on it, let's take this bead for example, so it stops it obviously from falling through, and then you can add some more beads on there, and then you use pliers if you have something like this, rounded pliers, or even, you know, this will work as well. Let's say I have some beads up there, and then you just make a little loop. There we go, and that can be used to be attached on your ribbon bookmark. That's how you would use these. And the same thing with the eye pins. The eye pin gives you an opportunity to hang something a little extra down the bottom. I also made this really narrow ribbon one and added some charms down the bottom. Then I have this one just with some charms at the end. This one with some butterfly charms. This one here is some old earrings. This one here has these little envelope charms. This one here, I used those eye pins and then hung an extra little charm down the bottom. This one you've already seen. This one here, very kind of Victorian vintagey looking. I think it might be my favorite one. But then I also love this one. Also kind of Victorian looking. Then these ones here. Most of these things were made with jewelry, old jewelry. You can get bags of broken jewelry from op shops and thrift stores, or you can ask your friends. If you're making them as individual pieces that you're planning to sell, then maybe you can be a little bit more elaborate with what you're putting, you know, at the ends. But because I'm making it for my journals, I'm not being too pedantic with what goes on at the ends. And what I mean by that is, for example, this one, you know, this one's kind of black jump ring on a silver clasp. You know, it might bother me if I was making them to sell them as little individual bookmarks at a market or something like that. But because they're going into a journal and they're a part of something bigger, then it doesn't bother me. And then these ones, of course, as an alternative to using these ribbon end clasps. They really don't take a lot of time, as you've seen. They're very quick and easy project. The thing that takes the most time is choosing, you know, what to put in the ends of them. And all I have to do now is make all of these journals to put them in. Anyway, it's nice to have stuff like this to go. So when you're making a journal, you know, and if you watched my videos, I'll make a lot of stuff in advance, and then when I'm ready, I can just, you know, when I need to fill up a journal, it's quick. I just put this here, this here, this here, this here, done, journal complete. Especially when you're stuck in a rut, you don't feel like doing much of anything, you can sit down and make a few of these. I'm sure that you probably already know how to make these. You might have made them in the past. Hopefully, you know, you found this video helpful. It's ignited a spark, I hope. Let me know what you think, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!